Good morning, my friend. Good morning. Good morning. It is time for our weekly Monday Musing, and today is September 22nd. I really just want to ask you something, and this kind of builds on the blog post from yesterday. So if you haven't checked that out, you can go to theblendedmama.com and just check out the latest blog post. But I really want to just ask you something. So, when was the last time that you really stopped and looked back at what has grown in your life this year? Not the big shiny things, right? But the quiet wins, the ones that kind of happen in the background. Well, maybe you were just showing up day after day, right? So for me, I had this moment recently, this past weekend. I finally cleared enough clothes out of our closet that I was able to consolidate mine and my husband's clothes onto one rack that's like the built-in rack in the back, and was able to remove a rolling rack that we had on the side that really initially held my clothes and all his were on the other rack. And so I was able to remove that, and what that did was it opened it up for me to be able to organize my yarn stash in my closet, which means there's no more piles in the dining room for the cats to dig in and play in. I'm able to actually spread out, like I have like project bags. I'm able to spread them out and see what projects I have, what I'm working on, like what state they're in. And that might be a small win, but for me, it kind of opened the door for more peace in another corner of my house, because that like moved so much out of my dining room, put it in my closet. I don't see it every day, but I'm going to go in and work on something, right? So I have a place to keep my project safe from three cats. And But it also, like, even in the closet, it's organized. I even cleaned out like the back cubby and found two massive bins of old photos, friends. And so now I've got to figure out what to do with those. Like, that's a whole project by itself. I mean, it's big tubs of photos for like back to the 90s, friends. So that's a whole project for another day. But I moved all that out. It's no longer hidden in this back hole in the wall, literally hole in the wall, where the hot water heater was. So I mean, like, it's not like there wasn't a purpose for the hole. But anyway, so I moved all that out. So everything is out. It's visible. I am able to see it. And that means that I can organize the next section later. Um, but isn't that kind of how life works, where one win kind of makes room for the next win? Um, and this season that we're in, we are in fall, and fall is harvest season. And I think God maybe wired us to have this rhythm, the harvest and the planting, that rhythm, for a purpose. And it's not just about pulling the fruit from what you have grown, but it's also about looking back at what's actually been growing, noticing what didn't take root, and clearing space for the new seeds for the next season. And here's the truth, my friend, is that you have been planting, even if you didn't feel like it most of the time. Maybe it was a weekly family dinner that you squeezed in, or maybe it was the walk that you took when you'd rather have stayed on the couch, or maybe just opening your planner and scribbling a few to-dos when life got really messy. But those little seeds do add up over time, and they are sustaining you more than you realize. And I want you to know that God sees the quiet roots that you have been tending. But harvest isn't just about gathering, it's also about clearing. So I want you to really think about, where do you feel like maybe you have been forcing something that doesn't fit anymore? Maybe it's a habit that just isn't serving you anymore, or a goal that looked good on paper, but really it's draining your energy. Clearing it out doesn't mean you failed at anything. It doesn't mean failure. It means wisdom. It means you're making space for what's next. And then comes the refresh, which is my favorite part. So once you've celebrated the wins and reset what's not working, you get to plant something new. For me, that is journaling. I've been struggling with this one for a bit, but with the clean out that I did this weekend, I made space in my nightstand to be able to tuck my journal into my nightstand with a pen, some sticker sheets, a couple decos, and of course a craft glue stick, right? So it's easy for me to grab before bed, and I'm able to not have to come back to my office, which I mean, at the end of the day, who wants to be in their office to do journaling, right? So now I'm able to do that in my room where I just have like peace and quiet and can really just sit and think for a few minutes and really let that creativity just kind of flourish, right? So that is my next refresh. So I want you guys to think about what your harvest rhythm looks like this week. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to write down one win that you are celebrating, no matter how small it is. I want you to write it down. And then name one thing that you're ready to reset or clear away. And then the last step is to refresh one goal with a simple step that makes it feel doable. And if you want to bring this exercise into your planner, you can try using a reflect and reset insert. I'm going to share more about that with you tomorrow here on YouTube. You could also just use a simple notes page or even just jot it somewhere in your weekly insert. But write your win in one column, your reset in another, and your refresh in a third, or you can do it rows, whichever works for your brain. But it's just a way of telling your brain and reminding your heart that progress grows in those small, steady steps. So this year is not over, my friend. God is still writing your story. And today is a fresh day to begin again. So I hope that you will take that time to work through that little exercise today. But until next time, my friend, keep planning with purpose and coordinate that chaos. I'll see you guys next time.